advisors, the dietary sessions seem to be taking up and being more popular, so to give us the bigger and better haul, so we will start without further ado. My talk today was to give you some practical points about the keto diet and how can we exercise that, use it in what Neeta has already told you, a vegetarian country that we live in predominantly. So the flow of the talk will be, I will try to talk to you about what are ketone bodies, how can we use this in our day-to-day practice, what is the impact on weight, metabolic diseases, and what cautions, and then we will finally end with a case study so we can understand what we are actually dealing with. So how did this all start? Of course, we all know that ketogenic diet started with the epilepsy story. They were originally formulated for children who used to have epilepsy, and believe it or not, if they were placed on ketogenic diets, it seemed to make their epilepsy better. But this also then, later on in our metabolic world, was the low glycemic index word that really came into vogue in design. What you see over here is a meta-analysis which shows that foods that don't spike your glucose and hence your insulin levels very high, that is what is the glycemic index of a food, across the board you can see that they seem to lower HbA1c and they do better versus other diets. So when the patient goes out here, he's heard all these terms from you. There's a plethora of information. He hears about several fat diet, the keto diet, the South Beach diet. There's even a virgin diet, which is not made for virgins. It's by a doctor virgin. So if you can actually believe all these diets out there, what does the patient do? All he wants to know really when they come to my clinic is, what should I eat? What is the carbohydrate, protein, fat? And I really think we all need to understand fiber, which to me is the new kid on the block. Rather, it's always been there, but really less understood. So in order to tell your patient what he should eat, we need to understand what are we eating. So these are results from the START study done by our own very group in India. And if you go north, south, east, west, or central India, what are we all eating? Carbohydrates, yes. 60 to 70% of our diet is carbohydrate. Proteins, unfortunately, about 20%, and fat is about 15 to 18%. So predominantly, our diet is carbohydrate-based, and you've been hearing since yesterday how carbohydrates cause an increase in blood sugar. But we still continue to eat them because we love our carbohydrates. So you come to Gujarat, where I'm from, and this is what a Gujarati thali looks like. All the red arrows are carbohydrates. You go to Punjab, you see everything, it's a carbohydrate. Even the North Indians who are supposed to be meat eaters, all the arrows are red. Now let's go South India. My God, there is nothing blue or green on that thali, it's all red. You go to East, and in fact, this year I had opportunity to go to Nepal, and trust me or not, even there the diet was completely carbohydrate-based, and I enjoyed it, but certainly this made me think even further, how can we bring about some discipline, and started reviewing the literature as to what makes our sugars better. So we really need to understand our macros. In the next 10 minutes, I will try to present a practical overview, how you can do this for yourself and thereby for your patients as well. So this is what a typical diet looks like, what I've just shown you. The carbohydrates are high, this is our fat, and this is our protein. When you decide to go to a ketogenic diet, you are going to switch the metabolic switch. You're going to flip your metabolic fuel. We eat food because food is like petrol for the car. It's energy for our body. So now, instead of using carbs as a source of energy, what are you going to use? Fat as a source of energy. You are going to make your body, after 2 or 3 days, deprive carbohydrates. You will run out of all the glycogen stores. And what you do now is you start burning fat as a source of energy. And when you burn fat, what you make is called ketone bodies. And this is the process of nutritional ketosis. But how low should I go, doctor? This is what my patient wants to know. Should I go low carb or should I go very low carb? When we have analyzed about 50 to 100 patients in our clinic, we have found averagely they eat about 200 to 250 grams of carbohydrates on a day. So truly speaking, in your clinic, you need to teach them carbohydrate counting. Because something as simple as a roti, depending on what it's made from, can be anywhere to 15 to 20 grams. A cup of rice is 10 to 15 grams. Simply dal can also have 10 grams. Whereas in a carbohydrate-based diet, you are going to say no to all of these foods. So avoid all grains, corn flour, starchy vegetables, beans, pastas, fruits, dals. 75% of your energy source has to come from fat, 20% protein, and the carbs are simply supposed to be green leafy vegetables and fiber. That's what I was trying to talk to you about. Okay. So look at this. Can you believe it? Broccoli is good, 1 gram. Look at your apple, 6.5 grams, and one orange is 8 grams of sugar. So in a ketogenic diet where you're supposed to keep yourself below 30 grams of carbohydrates per day, can you eat any fruits? The answer is no. So this is what you need to do as doctors. If you understand carbs, going from vegetable to starchy or non-starchy vegetables, going from grains to whole intact grains, only then can you give your patient a food pattern, because you need to first understand this basic thing. Not only carbs, you're going to have to teach them how to count fat as well. So in keto, really, the total daily carbs, as I mentioned to you, this is being very ambitious in India, trying to keep it less than 30 grams per day. But remember, 70% of your calories need to come from fat. So say you decide to give me, somebody, a typical 1,000-calorie diet, you would have to give them 70 grams of fat. This is our typical meal plan. I come from Ahmedabad, Gujarat, where my patients are Jain, so we don't use meat. So it's typically a Jain, vegetarian, keto diet, wherein we have come up with this atta. We give them ghee, which is about 1 spoon is 5 grams of fat. We do use some cheese, which is not ideally a good fat. The idea in keto should also be to use good fat. So you want to use unsaturated fat and not trans fats, saturated fat, or deep fried fats. So this is sort of not a complete plan, but sort of giving an idea as to how you could come up with 70 grams of fat in a vegetarian diet. This is what their meal would look like. They will have a keto breakfast. The tea or coffee would be made with almond milk. They can use almonds as a snack or some other nuts. This is a typical keto roti with some palak paneer over here, and they could have a soup or some paneer tikka as keto dinner. And this would sort of be a typical vegetarian meal in a keto plan when we are trying to give them a keto diet. And how does it work? In a keto diet, because you're giving them higher fat, when the glucose levels fall and all your glycogen stores are exhausted, now your lipase will start to break down your fatty acids. You're going to release your stored triglycerides, which travel to the liver, and therefore you make ketones, and this is what you're going to use as your energy substrates. So sorry, bringing you back to school a little bit. This is the process of ketogenesis. Anyone remembers the ketone bodies? There's 3 of them. Yes, you're right, absolutely. Beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetone, and acetoacetate. What you need to keep in mind is, to your extreme right is diabetic ketoacidosis. Look at the ketone body concentration, more than 25. That's not where we are going. We are just going to a millimole of 7 to 8. We are only inducing mild ketosis. We are not trying to put the patient, this is your diabetic patient, if he is insulinopenic, he's on SGLT2 inhibitor, we worry about ketosis or ketoacidosis. That is not the target. So we do follow them with urinary keto sticks. So keto adaptation happens, it can take anywhere from 10 days to weeks to months for an individual, wherein you start to learn how to use fat as a source of energy. The idea is that low carbohydrate should make things better. So let's now look at data. Does it work? We are now fraught with the epidemic of obesity and diabetes, and that's what we are trying to battle. We are not simply trying to get these patients to lose weight. We also want to work at the metabolic level. So now let's look at, this is a 12-month outcome, so a satisfactorily long outcome of a randomized trial. 34 patients with HbA1c more than 6%, BMI more than 25, were given either the low carbohydrate ketogenic diet or a moderate carbohydrate, but a low calorie diet. So what is better, low carb or low calorie? We are always debating all these things. So if you look over here, this is the baseline HbA1c, body mass index, and body weight. Across the board, if you see at 6 months and 12 months, the p-value is statistically significant for the low carb ketogenic group versus the moderate carb group. So ketogenic diet did better in terms of diabetes, body weight loss, in this particular study. However, it's a small number. This is just showing you the individual patient models, but remember, these are only 34 patients. So that always prompts us to look at a meta-analysis. Let's see what's out there in the literature. So for a second, I want to be the devil's advocate. I really appreciate Neeta for taking vegan, because it's harder to find the data of a vegan diet than to find the data for a ketogenic diet. All of these studies, I reviewed the data extensively even when I was doing this for a public health intervention, and what you find is, even in the meta-analysis, the outcomes are different. The source of fat is different. The population is different. This is not an Indian population. We actually don't have any Indian data for ketogenic studies. So bear that in mind. As Neeta also pointed out, they are eating different food products than we are. So when we start looking at this, and we have to think about, these are overweight and obese patients. Now we are talking, which fat should I eat, doctor? So what do we tell patients who have a heart disease? Do you tell them low carb or low fat? Heart attack aaya, so what does your cardiologist prescribe? They always say low fat. If you remember, from the Nurses Health Initiative study, low fat was what was started. If you look at the Indian Diabetes Prevention Program, 50% carbohydrates, low-fat diet prevented diabetes. So why am I here today talking about a high-fat diet? This is the data to look at. So in the diet, this is an intervention comparing a low-fat to a low-carbohydrate diet, and what do we find? So very nicely done study, looking at about 900 patients in each group, median age being 44, and actually a good amount of women, almost more than 50%. And they also looked at the ASCVD scores, classified them as high or low risk based on smoking and presence of hypertension. So really, really nice, not just looking at weight, but looking at CVD risk also. Now let's look at the dietary intervention. They gave them about 1,500 calories. And fat, as you can see in the low carbohydrate diet, they had 90 grams. And what was the carbohydrate over here? Very low, 60 grams per day. So very nicely they followed the intervention. And what do you see? If you look at the weight loss across the board, most of these studies, the median duration is almost 3 years, 35 weeks. Across the board, the weight loss is higher in your low carbohydrate ketogenic diet. So bingo, good points for weight loss. Now let's go and look at other things, other metabolic parameters. What do we worry about with fat? Cholesterol, thank you, somebody answered. So in most of these studies, interestingly, we find that the HDL cholesterol actually does go up. The LDL cholesterol went up in some of these studies, but the subgroup analysis, which I looked at carefully, also shows that there was an increase in the size of the LDL particle, which is less atherogenic, and then the small, dense LDL particle, which is reassuring. Now, what do we care about just lipid? We care about what happens to our patient, right? So this is what I was very excited to see from this meta-analysis. This is the ASCVD risk score, classifying them into white, high and low risk, as well as African American, high and low risk. Low carb does way better than low fat, and you can see at the bottom 98% positive prediction value. So this is very, very good to see that clinical translation values were good. There are other studies which have found similar things. I advise you, or if you guys are interested in the keto program, Virta Health is a big software online. They actually will give you something that you can use for your patients, an app and everything. And he was one of the first promoters, Dr. Virta, using this system. They found the same thing. Smaller studies have also seen the LDL particle number, size number. Remission of diabetes, we all talk about it. Is ketogenic diet the panacea? We hear about this every day. There are larger studies would be needed. We have small studies, including metformin from the Virta group, as well as Dr. Laura Saslau's group, which shows a 50 to 30% remission rate, so it's not a complete remission. Okay, so since they called it a dietary debate, however, I don't really think Neeta and I agree that we can debate this topic. I thought I would have to find something that compares these various diets. So here's a network meta-analysis. People who do research know that network meta-analysis is very complicated. So try to follow me. So over here, there are several diets. There are different 9 kinds of diet. They're all compared to a low fat. Since we are talking about high fat, I said I have to go and find the enemy. What happens if you're low fat? So here's low fat versus vegetarian, Mediterranean, which is moderate fat, high protein, moderate carb, low carb, which is our keto, and a control group, and then this got cut over here, sorry. As you can see that across the board, what we find, and the size of the nodes and everything represents a number of patients in each study. Low carb led to a greater improvement in HbA1c than high carb. We have a median duration of 6 months. Very low carb, which is our ketogenic diet, had the advantage, but not just the moderate carb, which is about 100 grams per day. Other benefits, raised HDL, lower triglycerides, reduction in diabetes medications. I always wanted to point out the cons. We have no long-term studies. We have no Indian data. Do not use this in your diabetic patients with CKD, pregnant women. We have no studies looking at saturated fat versions of the low-carb diet, so I will not be able to comment on that. You do need to know how to use it because we have to cut their medications and adjust them constantly when they're on a low-carb diet. How hard is it to do it? Not so hard. So we do have some quality of life studies also, which showed it was similar to stick to these diets. And hence the ADA guidelines as early as last year actually said, for people with type 2 diabetes who are not meeting glycemic targets, or where reducing anti-glycemic medications is a priority, you should reduce overall carbohydrate intake with a low or very very low carbohydrate eating plan. So this is something now which is a part of the guideline. How do we do it in Ahmedabad? I can tell you that. So we have this little study going on wherein when the patients first come in to us, they are introduced, as I told you, our baseline intake is about 200 to 250 grams mean. We put them on a moderate carbohydrate. It's like a run-in period, like a washout period from their lovely carbs that we all love. And they are low fat at the time. After 2 weeks, we put them on a ketogenic diet. We are unable to achieve 25 to 30 grams, so we are about 50 grams. And they are hypo or isocaloric depending on their body weight. They do this for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then again we now bring them back to a low carbohydrate, and then we cycle them. So this is a 12-week ketogenic diet cyclical study. I already showed you how we are giving them the ketogenic food in this form. This was in case people walked in a little bit later. So I will show you one case as to what happens. Here's my patient I showed in my earlier obesity lecture. I said, if you want to know what happened to him, come to my keto study. So 44-year-old patient with type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, and underlying coronary artery disease. He's the station head of a media TV station in Ahmedabad. Seriously erratic eating habits. He's on insulin twice a day, sulfonylurea, metformin, SGLT2, DPP4, blood pressure medications, and everything is uncontrolled. His BP is high, his A1C is high, he weighs 126 kilograms. So what we did is really we started him on the intensive dietary program that I just showed you. He involved in the study. Lot of his medications very quickly started coming off. By week 9, as you can see, he's only on metformin and voglibose. And this is the amount of weight he has gone down over about 6 months from 126 kilograms to 99 kilograms. As you can see also from his blood reports, his HbA1c has gone from 9.3 to 6.1. His cholesterol is doing very well. He's still on a statin, Bayu, and his liver enzymes have also improved. Overall, this is him before and after. And in fact, last Sunday, he just ran a 10K marathon, they call it in India, in Ahmedabad. So that is very, very good. He's doing well. So this is our study results at the before and after 3 months. This is our weight. As you can see, statistically significant weight loss for all the patients, as well as reduction in fasting sugar and reduction in HbA1c. I actually do have 6-month data, but I did not get a chance to prepare the slides. So how will you apply this knowledge, putting it all together for you? Type 1 diabetes, no data. Don't experiment with ketosis in type 1 diabetes. Carbohydrate counting is the way to go. No studies for vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean style. No studies really with type 1 diabetes, not even paleo. Type 2 diabetes, for A1C, even if they don't lose weight, low carbohydrate and very low carbohydrate is the best. Mediterranean is good for longevity, cholesterol and CVD risk. A1C improved in some studies. Vegetarian, vegan, Neeta has already spoken to you about. Intermittent fasting, A1C did not improve, but they had better CGM data. Bottom line, guys, adherence is more important than meal plan. Here I show you a slide with Atkins diet, which is a high-fat, high-protein diet and low carbohydrate. The Ornish diet, which is a moderate carbohydrate, or a Weight Watchers. All of them work if your patients can adhere to it. What I really think is bringing them back in frequently, close monitoring, using apps, using WhatsApp messaging, staying in touch. Tell them to message you. That works. What's new in all the guidelines from 2013 this year? Very low carbohydrate diet has been labeled as safe and viable option for people with diabetes. But as Dr. Roy Toller told you yesterday, and you should go to his 7 o'clock session, he will tell you how to practically apply a very low calorie diet. Emphasis on weight loss in patients with overweight or obesity is the way to go for treatment of diabetes. For type 2 diabetes, at least a 5% weight loss, optimal weight loss for reversal 15%, prevention of prediabetes to type 2 diabetes about 10 to 15%. There is no ideal percentage of calories from carb, protein, and fat for all patients. Therefore, you need to customize the macronutrient diet. And what I highlight in red, if you would just read the bottom thing is that please do not take away the pleasure of eating from your patients. Therefore, a positive food program is very, very important. There is strong growing evidence with the keto diet besides diabetes, which is no time to discuss today, for CV risk parameters, epilepsy, cancer prevention, dementia, PCOS. There are studies for all of this. Again, as I mentioned, that is beyond the scope of the talk today. I wish again all the women in the audience a very happy Women's Day, and I thank you for your attention.